Hello, welcome back to Showdown. This is Bio Enchanted, and today we'll be going through Take It on the Chin.
We need a phoenix egg to make a magic muffin, but the only one available on the internet is smashed to smithereens.
Thanks to Vicky.
Where can we find another one?
Wait, I remember where I saw a phoenix egg. There's one in an old Crimson Chin comic.
Say no more.
That's it! Issue 133, part 27 of the Dark Phoenix Egg Saga. Chin Alone, a classic issue.
The evil H2 Olga is flooding Cincinnati! But why?
You'll soon find out, Crimson Chin. Prepare for the power of the Phoenix Egg!
No! My chin-tastic powers draining into that fiery egg!
And as soon as Cincinnati is flooded, I'll destroy this egg, and with it the power of the Crimson Chin!
Wow, can the Chin survive this peril?
That's up to us, Cosmo. Let's go!
I quite like this level. It's got an interesting kind of shape to it, in the way it plays out.
So, what happens in this issue, Timmy?
H2 Olga uses the phoenix egg to siphon off the Crimson Chin's chin-tastic powers.
So what's with all the water?
Aha! In order to destroy the Chin's powers forever, Olga needs enough water to quench the fiery egg. So she takes over Cincinnati Waterworks and floods the city with Chintonite polluted water.
So the water's evil?
Even 1 part per gazillion in water could be harmful to me.
It'd be good not to fall in, then.
I can see the waterworks.
I don't see a way inside. The entrance is submerged.
H2 Olga must be using the famous Cincinnati giant faucets to flood the city. A plan fiendish in its unlikelihood.
If we could turn the faucets off, would that help?
Or block them up, Captain Cosmo. If we stop the flow of water, the waterworks entrance will be revealed.
That sounds like a super plan, Fairy Sidekicks. It's time to use the faucet.
Just realised that was a Star Wars joke. I feel stupid for not getting that one before. But yeah, it's been a while between videos. That's been a very busy few months for me because at work we're facing redundancy at work, so I've been trying to focus on looking for the jobs and things like that, and it's been just generally stressful. We're doing a lot of overtime as well in the last few weeks just to kind of get some extra money going, so that's just kind of why it's taken so long between updates for this particular thing. Also having to replay the first 2 levels on the PS2 emulator.
That was my sound effect. Look, a star!
Which, as you can see, works so much better than the Dolphin one for this particular game, at least for recording purposes. We can actually record this game without causing a perfect fits now, which is very nice.
You can't leave. Do it, you don't.
Because I think I had a lot of trouble for some reason actually gripping the blocks. For some reason that keeps happening where I keep being at just the wrong kind of angle to hit the block with. And I kind of have trouble getting Timmy to face the block. There we go, you have to kind of finagle it a bit, because he really only has 4 directions he can face in, kind of a thing. It's very kind of weirdly digital rotation, where it feels like it should be analog. Kind of like the sharks as well, that's cute. There's a lot of cute little things that you don't really need to see, but it kind of helps the feel of this level.
This place hasn't been designed with the jumping ability of 10-year-olds in mind.
Our next wish should probably take that into account.
There's no place to hide, little star.
3 stars! Cha-ching!
Ah, wish for apple pie. You're never alone with apple pie.
We don't need apple pie, Cosmo. I need to be able to travel further in the air.
With the limited power we have, I'm thinking short-term flight.
I'm thinking short-term apple pie.
I know. I wish I had the Crimson Wing.
The Crimson what?
It's a flight thingy that comes out of Clef's chin. It's not as good as apple pie.
There you are, 1 Crimson Wing.
It'll give you a short boost when you use it, but you won't stay alive for long.
As long as it's enough.
Could we wish for a giant apple pie to break your fall?
I don't like, though, with this level, the sound effects for when the gadgets come out, because there is a very kind of annoying tinny metallic thing I do quite like these little images of all the villains from the Crimson Chin canon though. Some of them from the last game, some of them not. It's kind of a cute thing. And of course, the villains in this one look so much better than they did in Breaking the Rules.
If you refuel mid-air, just hit the fuel pods.
These little robots can be a little annoying because they like to flee from you. Like this. This is really annoying to hit this guy, but I got him. Yeah, this level's got an interesting layout because you have these kind of two branches going to left and right, and then of course when you beat the two branches and got all the gadgets and turned the faucets, you then go into the waterworks and climb that, so it's kind of like an upside down T shape. I mean, I could make a much more childish analogy, but I think we're better than that. Yeah, for some reason, this level seems to have some trouble with the whole, like, attracting the coins thing. Like, it seems like it attracts coins less than the other parts of the game. Unless I was misremembering, I don't know. It's been a while since I've actually played this, since the gaps due to having to be very busy in general. It's been a stressful few months.
That's a strong indication that we're on the right track.
But this level's kind of annoying to 100% because some of the coins are very kind of bitty, like they're hidden in very like individual places instead of being like a bunch of coins all in one kind of location. There's a lot of like single coins or things you can jump on that have like a couple of coins on it or one coin and not much else. So it's like, you probably often get to a level and be all like, okay, but where's this coin that I missed? Where is it? And it can be really irritating. For example, we have to remember to come back for these ones later on.
Whoa, that's some serious
Which I do.
digging.
Oh, please don't plummet to your doom.
Remember, kids, don't fall off tall buildings. It hurts.
So pretty much done on this side, we just need to block up the faucet.
Now, to block up that huge faucet.
What can we use? Find something to stop the flow.
Or as we call them in England, taps. A little bit further. There we go.
It worked! I love comic book logic. The faucet is blocked, so the water level actually reduces.
Go us! Justice prevails!
Now we just have to
That's
do
really
the
more
same
video
thing
game
to the
logic,
other
but there you go.
And we can enter the waterworks. We can grab that Phoenix egg and foil Olga's evil plan.
I also quite like using the vehicles floating. We also do have the trees that giving it a real sense of scale. Like, the trees show how actually flooded the city is. About half a story, I'd guess. Well, in this case, half a school bus, because the school bus seems to be a little... As you can see, like, I quite like the vehicles kind of dipping as well. Like, they are slightly buoyant. They're probably only a few inches off the actual ground, but again, the problem, of course, isn't that the water's here, it's that the water's poisonous due to the tintonite.
2 more to go.
So it's like, fair enough, they at least explained why Timmy dies in water immediately, despite the fact that he should be able to swim. It's not the swimming thing's not important, it's everything else that's the problem. But that's the annoying thing, sometimes as well you might not notice that one of the coins hasn't been automatically grabbed. So you end up with that kind of situation happening where you end up accidentally leaving a coin behind because you don't realise you haven't grabbed it. And it's like, well, when that happens, it's like, well, where the heck is that last coin? You have no way of knowing. You have to scour the entire level.
Get it? Lifeboats, 3 stars. 1 elevator, 1 mochaccino.
And if you don't find it when you're in the waterworks, it's going to be before you go into the waterworks, if you miss like an external coin when you're going inside in this level, That's a nightmare, because suddenly you have to go all the way back down the waterworks to get out the building again, because there's no shortcuts or anything like that. And it's so frustrating. And certainly you could just leave the level and come back, but if you do that, like wait till you beat the level already and come back, then you have to still recollect all the stars to get the power-ups, so it's just, either way, it's annoying to come back here.
We can grant a wish now!
I'm hungry. Wish for ribs and sauce.
Think functional, Cosmo. I wish I could jump high in the air.
There you go! A tried and true solution to vertical launch scenarios.
A pogo stick.
Not just any pogo stick, Clef. This is the mighty pogo stick of justice. All rights reserved.
Cool. What does that mean?
Now you can defy gravity even on the tallest buildings. Insurance not included.
Plus, we get to include an extra accessory with a cleft action figure.
I like the accessory joke, that's cute. So we're going to go up here first because we have some rooftops to explore. This is a little interesting little like, secret area over here. Not really secret, but it's like, it's a neat optional area because you can see it from afar. It's fairly easy to get to, but it just gives the area a sense of scale
Sticker for your album.
and structure. And of course, I completely misjudged this jump. But that's fine, we're back here now, so we're good. Let's just move on, shall we? Let's have made sure nothing else has been missed. Time for the pogo.
One of Cincinnati's famous huge faucets. Let's block it off and stem the flooding.
Let's pogo.
But yeah, this is like the first level that has a direct analog with the levels in the previous game, Breaking the Rules, and as you can see, it's just generally much more interesting take on Cincinnati.
It's so big, you'll have to bounce it.
Because it's not as featureless as it was. There's a lot of like unique buildings in the skyline and things like that, and just like general like
dangerous.
visual design to it. But of course, here I kind of like skipped a little bit by accident by activating this crane and getting on it immediately. Really, well, I could use it immediately to get straight to the tap from here. As you can see, it goes over to that rooftop. That's not what we want to do right now. We want to make sure we get as much stuff as we can, so we're going to go up on these girders first. I have a little trouble here because I'm an idiot and I forgot how the level works, but yeah, there we go. But these girders are actually completely optional, they're just there for collectibles. But they're also cool though, just as like, it's something else to explore in the level. It's a little building site thing, so it gives the level a bit more structure to it, a bit more of a city feeling, because there's more to it than just featureless buildings that are just there for set dressing. It can be kind of tense with the Tin Copter Crimson Wing, because it's like because of how little fuel you get. If you don't have extra fuel things, you can often have just barely enough to get to the next area. So you're often just like a little, very close to falling to your death if you accidentally misjudge slightly. But there we go, I've got everything on these girders, so let's now get down onto the crane and wait for it to come back to the city building, shall we? Here we go. These skylights will explode in a minute. You might be able to guess how the skylights interact with the rest of the level. They're actually completely optional as well. There's like not really, unless you go for collectibles, not really much down there. It's just coins. But it's interesting that it's there though. It's a neat way of kind of like encouraging exploration of the level and adding to the level's sense of scale, to have like the ability to go into some buildings that there's no real reason to go into storyline wise. It's just, it helps make the city feel more fleshed out. Problems, of course, the camera has trouble catching up, but there you go.
Another big shiny switch. I love those.
Bounce it to see what it does.
First though, yeah, you can see the wall a little bit through the walls. It's a little bit glitchy still, but this emulator is still a lot better than the Dolphin one was. Yeah, I'm very bad at this level. I keep falling in the water a lot. I've always been bad at this particular level. Because it's one of the more annoying levels to navigate because every other step is like death because of the water being kind of instant death pits. It just makes exploring it a lot more harrowing than most of the levels, because most of the levels, for the most part, it's just straight up a floor you can walk down, and then you have some obstacles on that floor. But there's actually not that many instant death pits. There's only this level and maybe one other. And other than that, it's a fairly like... Well, of course, there's the death pits in Fairy World as well, but for the most part, that's a fairly straightforward set of paths. So it's like... This is one of the more harrowing levels to explore simply because of how annoying the water can be.
This style of crate float! That's something to remember!
It helps make it memorable though. In that it gives this level a character to itself. The fact that the water is most dangerous to navigate because of the water. So let's finally move on, shall we? To the next faucet. I'll take off this pogo stick because it's just an annoying sound. There we are.
We made it!
Let's do this next
Now,
tap.
how can we stop the flow of water from the faucet?
Let's jam some
It's quite easy how to stop the flow of water from a faucet. If it won't stop on its own, you force it.
Both faucets are blocked, and a switch has been revealed. I'm gonna bounce it. No criminal power can stop me.
We're nearly done outside. Before we move on though, nothing down there, but we have got one rooftop we haven't fully explored because we didn't have the pogo stick yet. Now we have it. So let's go back to that rooftop real quick. And there are a few shortcuts we can take to get up there. Not many, but a few. I kind of screw up here, tending to use the Crimson Wing to fly across, but I kind of screw up the buttons and don't get across that way, so it's like fine. And pogo stick could have got me up there as well. As you can see with the clovers, didn't really talk about them much, but the green clovers only heal 1 unit of health, the silver ones heal all of it. And the upgrades only affect global variables, like the dash meter and things like that. They do not affect individual gadgets, so we'd never have any more fuel for the Crimson Wing. You can't like buy more fuel, a fuel upgrade or anything like that. That's just the wishes. What you see is what you get, so there's no way of upgrading that. All the upgrades are stuff like health for Timmy and his dash meter extension, that kind of thing. And then a few things like basically have a little like, you can unlock a radar as well, which we'll pick up later on, that tells you where all of the items in a level are. Although it seems to not work as well for things in boxes for some reason, but that might just be confirmation bias on my end. First let's head up here for the remaining coins here, and then there's also some more coins on the other rooftop that we couldn't get to before. We could get to the rooftop there, but we couldn't really do anything there, but now we can get it over there. We could have just jumped here from the railing there, it would have been easy enough, but again, all we'd have got is like maybe a single coin, because you didn't have to pogo stick to get up to the top of this part of the roof. I like that this isn't just any building as well. It has a little decor on the building, but it's actually on the back side of it, so you can kind of like, you can't really see it unless you actually look for it. I'm going to show that off in a bit now. Like this little arch, for example, is like, that shows that this is actually the front of the building over here. We actually came into the back door. It's just because Cincinnati is flooded, we don't really have any real idea of the proper layout. So let's take a shortcut back down, shall we? Now we've got all the stuff outside, let's go inside the waterworks. Because that's kind of the worst part of this level, is finding all of the coins outside. And then there's a few coins inside that are actually quite tricky.
Now let us blindly enter this watery place of evil.
Because there's a lot, of course, this is where the game gets, this is where this level gets kind of hard to explore, because of there's a lot more water in a lot more annoying places. Because of course there is, because it's kind of the end of the level coming up. Well, second half, but yeah. Most of the level will take place in here.
Guys, we made it inside the waterworks.
The next step will be easy. What's the next step?
In the comic book, H2 Olga's evil lair's at the top of the waterworks.
And what of the Crimson Chin?
I don't know. What about him?
That was a rhetorical question, Cosmo.
Well, I don't speak rhetoricalism.
One thing I don't like with this game though is the camera angles sometimes get static, and that can get late in this part of the level that gets kind of confusing at one point, which we'll see in a minute. Like, because it's not something you'd expect from this type of game, so when it does happen, it can kind of throw me off. This part's a little annoying to explore though, because the route isn't very straightforward for the coins, especially along that little area where we'll need to use the Crimson Wing with the floating platform. Floating with the... well, no, floating, yeah. With the water platform. As you can see, those two coins are kind of on an edge, and that platform doesn't really go anywhere very friendly to that edge. For example, like if we tried to go from here, for example, just straight along the coins, we actually don't have enough fuel. And I missed that coin like an idiot, but yeah, because there's no real like magnets kind of a thing going on where Timmy kind of attracts coins to him, like in a lot of those kind of games, we have to actually segment with that intersect, I mean, with that particular coin, and this can get quite annoying. Intersecting with this coin is really difficult to do. I make it eventually, it won't take too much longer, it's just an annoying part of the game though. I do like the little blinky textures though on those machines, that's pretty cool. And here is a bit close call. Whoops. Yeah, I make a mess in this room. It's a ridiculous mess. I believe this is the last time I screw this up though. Because here we're going to grab the coin now. There we are. And now it doesn't matter, now we can just get straight across the room, which is fairly basic, now that we've got the coins up in an annoying position, because they're in the kind of an arc with the fuel that would just run you out of fuel and dump you in the water. It's a mess trying to get those coins. There we go. That's better.
Whoa, what's that?
Looks like some sort of
Yeah.
pinch thing.
I sense a wish.
The stars got us over-barreled.
Wanda, you interrupted Cosmo with your pun, but we have a Doom Moomin. Let's get these stars so we can deal with the Death Moomin.
You wished our best.
I do kind of like that the Moomin enemies have like, I call them Moomins of course a joke, of course, they're actually hippopotamuses, but I quite like that they actually have colds and that's how they attack, by sneezing at you, that's kind of cute. I actually didn't notice that the sound effect until the sound effect was a chew sound effect. That's just a cheeky coin as well, it's a single coin on a ledge, it's like, you mean person. Of course I'm speaking of the design of the game there. That's just kind of cruel to put it right there in a position where the camera can't easily see it. As is that one, it's like, why? What are you doing here? And of course there I thought I'd make it, almost did but didn't. Let's get the wing out. But yeah, I'm just generally very bad at this level. It's a mess. I'm sorry about that. Because I'll actually be buying more stuff at the beginning of the next level, I think. Because I'll probably unlock some decent stuff by then.
You can total up and catch that star sleeping.
3 stars! I claim my fairy wish!
We could use something to defeat H2 Olga's disturbing hench things.
They're made of water, so wish for a giant curly drinking straw.
Cosmo, don't encourage Timmy to drink evildoers.
I know! I wish I had a freeze ray. That'll give us plenty of scope for bad puns.
You got it.
In keeping with your identity, we made it come out of your chin.
Thanks, guys. You're the best!
That looks really top heavy. It's a cool looking freezeway, yeah, so I like it. I like the goggles and the little scope and everything like that. It's very comic booky. I also like its icon, it's really cute. It's not the gadget itself, it's what it does, and that's really adorable. Because most of the images, the emotions are just the wish themselves. You don't actually show what they... But this one is a different tactic in that it shows its effect on the world, and that's cute.
But under the circumstances, I guess it's okay.
This over here is actually quite a tricky puzzle. Tricky to pull off, not tricky to work out. You can probably work it out from what we've just picked up. But it's one that I kind of often forget about. Because it's kind of when you actually... The game's got you used to killing the robots, basically. So it can be easy to forget that there are other ways around that situation.
A big shiny switch! I wonder what this one does!
It looks like it changes the water level.
The main problem I have with the block puzzles in this game is that they're so basic. You just have like this little channel, and when you get the crate to the end of the channel, that's where the crates are meant to go. There's no real puzzle to it. It makes it less annoying because you know exactly where they're meant to go.
How can we raise it?
But so the fact that there's no experimentation just kind of takes out the actual puzzle aspect. There we go. I like the big drains though in the floor as well. Like the water doesn't just empty in the room for no reason. There's actually a drain there. That's an interesting visual touch. Adds a little verisimilitude to the level. And that it gives the water somewhere to go. I like the big post-of logo as well, that's just cute. It reminds me of Hydro thing from Ultimate Muscle, Hydrozoa from Ultimate Muscle actually quite a lot, like the colour scheme and this jumbled design about her. It reminds me a lot of Hydrozoa, and that's quite funny to me. Especially given how I'm actually going to defeat that. Here I try and solve the puzzle without, like, clearing things up first, but it's a mess. Trying to do that is a very bad idea, so let's just kind of, like, because we have to go up there, and for that we need a little extra height the pogo stick can't give on its own. So let's take down one of these guys. Because otherwise it's just not going to work out. Because we need to get this guy right close to the actual wall. But it's really best to kill one of these guys first so that you can actually just hurt the other guy and not worry about being shot in the arse. There we go. I quite like the pogo stick actually upgrades your thing as well, your bounce attack thing. For some reason I have a lot of trouble hitting this guy with the freeze ray because of the way it auto aims. It's kind of... It's just not hitting him because it's trying to auto-aim in a way that kind of falls an arc. So, there we go, I've done it now. Let's get on top of the thing on top of the ledge. There we are. And don't forget, of course, to actually kill the enemy as well. Because the enemy, of course, has its coins. There we go. That's the trickiest part of the game. Everything else is relatively straightforward now. I like this little, like, relatively complex, not quite a puzzle, still very linear, not really much you can do other than what you meant to do, but it's an interesting visual thing with the little tunnel under the water and everything like that. And then the big glass wall so you can't just fly over the whole thing. It's like it's trying something, and of course this is really cheeky as well to hide them in these little alcoves. That are just little holes in the wall that are there to hide coins, that's what they're for. It's really annoying if you don't know they're there. There's a lot of coins in this level that if you don't know where they are, and you finish the level without the coin detector thing, which I haven't bought yet but will at some point in the future, it can be really annoying to try and find where they are. It's just lucky I kind of know where everything is in this level. I like little exit signs as well with Timmy's image on them, that's cute. It's like showing you which way to go, but it's also just kind of, instead of just a painted arrow, it's now that has an actual reason to be there. It's like showing where the emergency exit is on the rooftop. Really gives the idea. Crimson ceiling. I wonder if that's meaningful. Crimson pipes up there too.
Ooh, let's see. Hippos check. Pistons check. Floaty platforms, all present and correct.
It's got that coin, that was an annoying place. It's really best to try and line up the hippos and stuff, but because of the fact that they shoot at you, it can be annoying to do so. So I tend to just brute force this level with those, because it's annoying having to kind of dodge their sneeze attacks while you're trying to line them up. It's just not much fun to do that. This is another tricky part as well. Whenever you have moving platforms, always follow them right to their extreme, because that's where the coin always is, at the very extreme top or extreme like edge of the floating platform's route. Like this. I do quite like that by the end of this area, we're basically using all of the items together to kind of get to the top of it, like alternating between them all and finding ways of like using all of these items in different ways. It's more interesting than just only having the freezeway and having to just do freezeway stuff to get up here.
Here we there. Don't let me distract you.
Now we're in the Crimson Block. I wonder what that could possibly mean.
Crimson Chin, are you okay?
Oh, I'm fine, Cleft. Just tired from straining to be free.
Wow. H2 Olga really did sap your chintastic powers.
Have you ever read this comic? That happens all the time.
Must stop. H2 Olga.
Maybe you should free him, Timmy.
You can't fight Olga in your condition, Chin. Leave her to me.
Condition? What condition? He's a fully grown man, and you're just a 10-year-old boy.
Thank you for your concern, Captain Cosmo. But I am so used to my powers, when they're stolen, it feels like a really mild dose of flu. So you see, Cleft must battle in my stead.
It's perfectly normal, Cosmo. The whole point of sidekicks is to fill in when powers get lost.
Don't worry, Chin. Clef will save the day.
I quite like the idea that the Crimson Chin isn't weak without his powers. He's still quite a strong guy. He's just become so used to the powers that without them he feels completely useless. Even if that's not really the case, he could probably still take the H2 Olga in a fight. He just doesn't have the confidence. More interesting than making him just a fat nuisance, because it's like this way he's reasonably strong for a man of his build, but he's just not supernaturally strong anymore. So like he's still strong enough to probably take Olga in a straight fight, but probably not strong enough to say lift a car. And he'd probably struggle with Olga as well. You just be confirming how much stuff we have, because we actually like have a lot more of the level than I remembered. This is quite a long level.
Yeah? What's that? Yikes. What sort of word is that?
I do quite like that the red part of this level kind of not only brings to mind that we're going to the Crimson Chin's floor basically in this whole factory area, but also it's like the whole danger thing. You know, the floors are going red now because we're in a dangerous part of the level.
There's a room like this on the floor below.
I remember. You have to inflate the elephant with the foot bump. Wait, that's not right.
Someone's apparently been playing Toy Story 2 on the PS1. Oh, it wasn't an elephant but duck. Well, that's all I could think of with that kind of comment though. Don't know quite if he's referring to anything. He's not referring to anything specific, of course. It's just a dumb joke about random video game stuff. But yeah, which is a particularly dumb joke because video games often have a logic to them. It's not just do the random stuff for no reason. There's a reason for everything you do in a video game. Even if it's only an in-universe reason, it's a reason that often is consistent with itself if the game is well written enough, well designed enough. Unless it's a dream sequence, in which case deliberately being ridiculous.
Where does it go?
I'm guessing Canada.
Yep, the water rose.
That one doesn't really make much sense because we see where the water goes. This is the room the water goes to. If it was the other way around, so maybe the switch was in this room, then maybe I could see that joke working. But it's just kind of a weird joke here because it's obvious where the water goes. It just gets pumped into the next room. I do like the music here though. Now let's move on to the next half of the room. Let's pick up some scraps first, shall we?
Too moist.
Here we are. Kind of interesting that the water seems to have a corporate logo in this universe. I'm not so sure if that's not a Rock and Modern Life reference as opposed to Tell Your Parents at that point. Given that that's basically all about capitalism falling to, making everything terrible, but yeah. Yeah, this is always really annoying to me, trying to actually... There we go, trying to actually face these boxes properly. I just find it really finicky in this particular game because of how Timmy moves. Which is a lot better than in Breaking the Rules still, but he still moves kind of awkwardly in Showdown. It's not a perfect game. It's still very basic, it's just a lot less basic. And there's actually some interesting visual design in some of the rooms and things, and there's like a lot of variety in the way the levels put together, like the whole like... going from outside in Cincinnati to the waterworks, for example, that's a lot of visual variety there. And this is much less frustrating than the same kind of jumping puzzles that existed in Deadfall. I mean, that was a nightmare. Deadfall didn't have the right kind of jumping mechanics or the right water mechanics for it to work. That was a mess trying to do that particular thing. At least from this point on in the, but from this, at least from this episode on though, here's where I got stuck by the way with the camera angle screwing me up. It's good to appreciate those doors though. There we are. It gives you a relatively tight time limit, but it's not too difficult to get up these P platforms. It's just, it doesn't really give you much time to do so. There we go. But yeah, this is just much better than the way Cincinnati was in the previous game, because it's not just like 3 buildings and a bunch of minigames and stuff. In this case, it's like an actual, it feels more like an actual place. Simply because of how much more open it feels, even if it is still a very, very linear level. Simply because you can see all the buildings like surrounding you and everything like that. And there's not just a linear path to the levels as well. You know, it's going around a single block. It's kind of like weaving around the buildings and trying to find your way up between them. So it feels more like an actual structure. This is, of course, the last major room of this level before the actual boss here. Let's enjoy grabbing our boxes, shall we? For some reason in this level, they actually don't tell you when we've almost got them. Well, we've only got 8 coins to find now. So let's get the remaining ones, shall we, on the other sides of the fans. One over here, and one in the far corner. And then we'll fight Olga, and see what she involves. I'll give you a small hint. That reminds you a little bit of Spyro Hero's Tale. Just a slight little bit, not much, but I liked Hero's Tale, so I thought some of its writing was kind of funny, and I liked some of the bosses as well, especially his banter with Red in the one up to the final boss, where it's like, Red makes fun of him fighting like a child, and after he beats him, he just responds with, I hope I can fight. Well, I hope I fight better than you when I'm your age. And Red's just like, fine, good one.
Part of the waterworks.
Fair enough.
But where's H2 Olga?
She's not here. Maybe we're out.
You are too late, Cliff. I have almost absorbed enough water into myself to extinguish the Crimson Chin's power forever. She's huge!
And overtly melodramatic.
You cannot defeat the power of the Phoenix Egg!
Oh yeah, that's what we came for. I knew we were here for a reason.
So, we're just gonna take care of H2 Olga and get out of here, right?
You said it, Captain Cosmo! It's Clefting time!
This fight's much more interesting than, at least visually anyway. It's a lot better than Spatula Woman from the previous game, because wow, Spatula Woman was bad. Her model was just the worst. This at least H2 Olga looks like her portrait a bit. It looks like it's actually kind of beta kind of portrait. It looks very different to how she actually looks, but in all the other art around the level, it looks like her. It should not be as much of a miracle as it reads as.
Yeah, she can't take her pollution.
And neither can Mother Nature. We have to wake up and act, people.
Careful, honey. Don't drop your soapbox in the water.
You two fight. I'm gonna hit more switches.
Yeah, this is what I meant by the whole, like, reminiscence of Hydrozoa's defeat, because of the whole polluting from foul water thing. It's just, in this case, it's sewage instead of urine. I actually recently got around to watching The War of Ultimate Muscle Online a few years ago. It's fairly interesting. I quite liked some of the stuff towards the end, especially with, like, what Kevin Mass did to the runner-up. That was a mess. They did a good job of building the stakes and things, especially where it was like, no, now you have to actually learn to fight for real. We're kind of our own bad guy here, though, really, because we're kind of like, certainly she's trying to extinguish the Crimson Chin's water, but we're the ones polluting the water supply with sewage. I mean, visually, she's obviously in a separate little reservoir in the middle of the whole facility. but it's still a bit questionable morally speaking. I have a little bit of trouble here as well though, this particular set of jumps, because I keep kind of misjumping, almost reading them rather, and ending up like this. Now it's not just chin tonight, it's also raw sewage, so this is a fun pool to be swimming in, isn't it, Olga? This is the last time I screw that jump up, don't worry. We're nearly done here. This level is fairly basic, but it's less annoying than a few of the boss fights in the game. It's not the most interesting one, but it's fairly fun in its own way, even though it is fairly basic, and it's less annoying than the upcoming one from the next level, which is my least favourite boss fight in the entire game, which is annoying because the level after this one is my favourite level of the whole game. It's just it's got the least favourite boss. But we'll see that when we see it though. For now we're finishing this level. Congratulations, Timmy, you polluted the water supply. Well done.
You're a washout, H2 Olga.
Hey, good cheesy line, Timmy. Keep it up.
Please, no more.
Good work, boy Chin Wonder. Once again, Cincinnati owes you a debt of thanks.
It was nothing, Chin. But we better get these superpowers out of this egg and into your jaw.
Yeah, we don't want pieces of chin in our muffin.
I'll ignore that cryptic comment, Captain Cosmo. Ha! No more weak chin for me. Thanks, Cleft. Off to Cincinnati jail for this wet squib. This is a job for the Crimson Chin! Ha! Wrong way.
Cincinnati is safe once again. And we have a new Phoenix egg.
Let's keep this one away from Vicky.
We should get back. We still don't have all the ingredients for the muffin yet. Jorgen's going to make sure we never grant another wish again if we don't get a move on.
Oh hey, a joke that managed to actually sell itself and actually have some decent timing. A miracle. But now we're done with that level, so I'll give you a brief glimpse at the next one before we end the video. We just do these doors now that we've completed those two levels. So hopefully the next one won't take nearly as long, and the next time we'll be coming into my favourite level, Get a Clue. But we'll see that later. Goodbye.